Look, I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that I think the Republicans are getting more and more extreme by the day. And this bill really is the cherry on top in that conversation. So look at this. Proposed bill would give Arizona legislature authority to override the popular vote. An Arizona lawmaker wants to give the state legislature the power to appoint presidential electors regardless of who wins the popular vote. Currently, the candidate who wins the popular vote gets Arizona's electors. They then cast their votes on the same day in December alongside all the other electors across the country. Senate Concurrent Resolution 1014 would override that process entirely. Instead, the Arizona legislature would have the sole authority to appoint the presidential electors, regardless of which candidate actually received the most votes. The proposal comes from State Senator Anthony Kern. The Glendale Republican was a frequent figure in the attempt to overturn the 2020 election. He was among the lawmakers who signed onto a document falsely claiming to be one of Arizona's electors for former President Donald Trump. So it is very possible this guy is just literally a criminal. In fact, in the course of the investigations, maybe there's actually charges against him, that will be pursued in, say, the DC cases with Jack Smith. I don't know. But there's a lot of people who were duped into being a fraudulent elector, being involved in an illegal fake vote counting scheme. And there's a lot of people who knew that what they were doing was illegal and their intent was malicious. And maybe those people will suffer a different fate and have different consequences than the people who were just duped into it. But look at what we're talking about now, guys. Look at what we're talking about now. We are discussing basically not even having legitimate elections at all anymore. Now, you could argue the Electoral College is already anti-democratic enough. I think that's true. But this is a whole nother level of being anti-democracy. This is a whole nother level of authoritarianism. They want to be able to look at a situation, even in a scenario where a Democrat blows a Republican out of the water for the presidential election in the state of Arizona. They want to be able to look at that and say, we disagree. We're Republicans. We are going to pick the Republican to have won this state, even though they didn't. What other words am I supposed to use but authoritarian, tyrannical, dictatorial? What other words are there to use? This is like the textbook definition of that. But this is where we are. Every day, they get more and more extreme. Every single day. So the next time they want some sort of legal cover to be able to say Trump won, even if he didn't. All right, so now I want you guys to remember something. I think it was Arizona that they had a massive recount effort after the fact because they were convinced, Trump actually won this state, even though Biden won it. And then they did the recount and they found out Biden actually won by more votes than we thought he won by on election day. But there was a massive effort led by Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump in the 2020 election to basically pressure Arizona politicians to overturn the will of the people. And we have a great video on this that just came out. This guy, Rusty Bowers, who's kind of in charge of certifying the election in Arizona, he tells his story of the immense pressure that he was under. This is in the PBS Frontline documentary on this. And it really goes to show you just how nefarious and malicious the attempts were from Trump and Giuliani and Sidney Powell and the other Republicans who were trying to overturn the democratic result of an election. Watch this.
For them to say to me, yeah, we just want you to throw out those electors and put in Trump. I'm thinking, have I gone to another planet? I mean, it's like, what? I'm not going to do that. I mean, I wanted him to win. Okay, so what? I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to cheat to win. What's that? I flat out said, you're asking me to break my oath. I swore an oath. I'm not going to break it. Period. Not going to break it. I said, well, if you're talking this, I got to have the proof. I said, Rudy, do you have the names of the dead people who voted? He goes, yes. And do you have the names of the 200,000 illegals who voted in our election? Yes. I said, I want those names. And the president says, Rudy, give the man what he wants. Give him what he wants. He says, yeah, we've got him, Mr. President. I'll get him to him. There was a row of people, and Giuliani and Jen Ellis, I recognized them. And I sat down on the opposite side. I just said, did you bring me the proof? And he said, what? I said, do you remember our phone call when you said you were going to bring me the proof? And he said, oh, yeah. I said, did you bring it? And he turned to Jenna Ellis and he says, do you have the proof? And she said, yeah. Well, can we see it? She leans over and fumbles through her briefcase and says, "Oh no, I don't have it here. It must be at the hotel room."
In this meeting or at any other later time, did anyone provide you with evidence of election fraud sufficient to affect the outcome of the presidential election in Arizona?
No one provided me ever such evidence.
So now, the goal here in Arizona that the Republicans are trying to bring to fruition is to make what happened with Trump legal. They want to be able to just override the will of the people. And they're not hiding it. They're not ashamed of it. They're upfront about it. They're upfront and direct about being authoritarian and being dictatorial and being tyrannical. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And this is where we are. These are the conversations we're now having in this country. These are the bills that are being proposed. Should we end whatever semblance of democracy we have left? Absolutely grotesque and absolutely disgusting. And I have no words for it. I have no words for it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.